Welcome, friends, and thank you for listening to the Optimal Health Program today. Hope you're all doing well. As you know, we're going to cover some interesting topics, some conversational, some difficult to understand, but we'll try to make it easy for you. Statistics are important things, and we have to look to see how studies are done to take information from them. Sometimes studies are made to prove a point, which is not really an unbiased study because you're trying to prove something. Other times, observational studies are the best. They're important because they can give us information that we don't get otherwise, and we're looking to just gather and read as opposed to force an idea or an agenda. So we have a couple of different topics that we'll talk about today specific to that. Let's welcome our big Rumble group and followers today. Thank you for listening in. God bless you all. We've been hitting over 200,000 views every Saturday, so we're excited about that. And we'd love for you to tell your friends, your family, tell everybody about it, this program. Love for you to go to the website, drcalapai.com. A lot of people through our podcast will send us a message through the website, which is great, and we try to answer them as quickly as we can. The Garden City office, of course, we have staff there taking your calls throughout the day, during the week, and even on Saturdays. It's 516-794-0404. And let's start, talking about ultra-processed foods and their link to disease. And that's probably what we should talk about, the title of the show today. Eating more ultra-processed foods linked to higher risk of Crohn's disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and this is some pretty good information, large-scale studies. So the first topic comes from Medical News Today and published in a few journals. We'll cite them as well, but it talks about how many people have irritable bowel, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, a great number of individuals, people into the millions. I think that it's more than what they're estimating. They say 4.9 million people. I think it's way higher than that because I see people all day long, every day, that have stomach problems that either started off somewhat insignificant, people taking antacids, people taking anti-gas pills, and progressing and getting worse. And these people are all within the realm of irritable bowel. And we see that food allergy is a very, very, very common contributor to these things. Much more so lately because food is not the pure food that was around 100 years ago. And chemicals in the food, GMO foods, some people could have celiac, some people could be allergic to the food itself. These all play a role, but there are three different ways of reacting to things like grains. You could be allergic to the wheat, or not allergic and have allergy to the gluten, or none of those, and then be reacting to the GMO or the chemicals in the food. So there's really four different ways of reacting. So this is a great study. Talks about ultra-processed foods causing inflammation in the gut because of all the different chemicals that are in them. It describes that a lot of countries in the past, and this is interesting to look back at history, that had started out as small countries became more, I don't know if the right word is industrialized, but I suppose that's part of it. They had far greater levels of gut problems and irritable bowel over time as all of this ultra-processed food started coming on board. Emulsifiers, carrageenan, maltodextrin can affect and damage the lining of the intestines, the epithelial barrier. Could also affect the gut microbiome, the environment, and the individuals living within that environment. Dysbiosis is another term for an inflammatory mechanism caused by different organisms in the gut that shouldn't be there. So the problem with the foods is that we're repeatedly putting these things on board, and you're not giving your body a break to be able to try to heal or repair itself. Of course, you want to get rid of dyes, preservatives, fillers, too much sugar, salt, some of the saturated fat. You certainly want to test your vitamins, minerals, your hormone levels. You want to get on board with good basic foods. Now, there's really no reason why you can't have good organic healthy vegetables year-round in your house because of this device called Garden, Gardyn. You can pop this in your house, got a grow light, waters the pods, and the pods turn into some wonderful vegetables and flowers. And there are places around where you can get organic foods and organic meats. Most recently, I've been going to Moolah Farms over on Northern Boulevard. They're in Huntington on Sunday, Eisenhower Park on Saturday. I think on Wednesday they go to Long Beach, but they have great organic eggs, chicken, meats, all from their farm. And they make a variety of really good foods that do not have the chemicals, preservatives, and such in them. So to go further on, and the reporters here, and it's a great add on to the article, talking about what to do, how to stay away from certain foods, and what foods to use. Potatoes typically are good. Oats are good for you as well, vegetables and fruits. Of course, use an air fryer or a slow cooker to prepare your food because you're taking away the need to put things into oil to fry them. So it makes a great deal of sense. Second study from Gastroenterology Journal talks about food additives and causing a great deal of inflammation. Yet another study talks about ultra-processed foods increase the risk of lung cancer by 41%, which is scary. No one would ever think that going to a fast food place or eating pre-prepared semi-junk or total junk food could create this problem, but people are putting these chemicals in their body over and over again. It's a bad thing, but 41% increase in two types of lung cancer, small cell and oat cell. Sounds crazy, but true.
We got a viewer who says, I grow all year long in my living room 2 garden towers.
Good,
Shout
good
out.
for you. 2 towers?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a big family?
We'll wait for the response.
Because I think you could put 30 pods in each of those devices. That's a brilliant idea. You kidding? Ultra-processed food increased diabetes risk. 1 hot dog a day, an 11% higher chance of developing type 2 diabetes. So that means in baseball season from April until October, that's why diabetes risk goes up so much, because people are eating hot dogs at the stadium. Curious. But yeah, you've got to, and I've been saying this sort of idea for a long time. Watch your foods, only get foods where you know that they're the best quality. Go to different farms to get some of these things because they're far better than what you might get in the average supermarket, in your traditional big box store where you don't really know what you're getting. And I saw a video the other day. I was looking around on the internet, and they're talking about retained water in chicken. And I said, what's retained water? I've never heard of that. Apparently it has to do with bleach that they dunk the chicken in to kill germs, and they call it retained water. Maybe some retained water in the package. You could look that up online, Frankie, and see. But it's bizarre that they're sneaking all these terms by us to put garbage in the foods, and we have to be exposed to this. It's ridiculous.
Yep. I don't even want to read this right now. They're ruining my day.
Am I close?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not good. You have to become a scientist at reading labels to make sure you understand what's in there. And there's so many chemicals that don't even have names. You'd never really know it, but it's unfortunate. Get back to nature. Grow your own food. I know people that have gone to places, called up places. I know people that order food from the Amish because they have chemical-free and junk-free and, preservative-free food. And I think they have meats and things that they raise and they butcher, and you're getting quality stuff. And one of those Amish companies will drive and deliver stuff here to Long Island, apparently. So that makes sense. I've known other people that have bought like a cow, the meat already prepared and cleaned and blah, 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 where you get it, organically, and you can pop that in your freezer and, have meat that's just pure without the chemicals in it. Makes sense. Do whatever you can to make your food as pure as possible.
Yeah, I just need another freezer.
Yeah.
I can make that happen. Not at my current capacity. Someone wants to know, are people actually becoming allergic to gluten more often, or are we just diagnosing it more now?
It's a good question. There's always the comment on, well, is it more prevalent now, or are we just testing and we're seeing more of it? I think it's more prevalent now because many years ago, I was testing for it. And it's just part of what I do because I want to figure out what's going on with your gut if you're having problems. There are definitely more people reacting to grains now. I think there are more people that are allergic to the grains because we see that on skin test and blood test. There are more chemicals in the food now. So another reason to have reactions. And the GMO concept. So, yeah, as I say, there are a few different ways to react. It could be chemical, an allergy to the food, an allergy to the component, or the GMO. So I think there are more people that are gluten reactive now. Looking back into when I first started, we weren't terribly aware of this. 39, soon is going to be 40 years. Crazy. Wow. This year coming up, 2026. At any rate, so it seemed to be simpler before, where we could test people and say, take these foods out. They would take them out and do fine. But now, in the last 20 some odd years, and maybe 30 years, they put so much stuff in the food that there's much more likelihood to react to these things. And you'd never know it. You may not see an allergy skin test or blood test turn positive. You may not see anything that would help you make a, diagnosis other than telling the person to take the food out. It's curious.
Yeah, very curious.
I like the fact that doctors are doing more testing because that's your job. You're supposed to test to figure out what's going on with the person and give them good information so you can change the cause of their problem. I think that makes a great deal of sense. I hear it all day long, every single day that I work, and I've worked 6 days a week for a better part of, 37 years. And I talk to patients all the time. Oh, the doctor didn't do this test. He said I didn't need to do a vitamin blood test. He didn't really want to test for allergy. It's like, why not? Why wouldn't you want to be the smart-looking doctor to test something, find something, and help to fix the person's problem? It's just that in certain realms, this is what's done, and you don't go outside of I don't know why. I think doctors are not free thinkers like they used to be. So, there's this whole manipulation going on, which has changed medicine radically over the past, 15 or 20 years. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows somebody who has a problem with their medical insurance. They don't want to cover this, don't want to cover that. They're taking your money every month, but they don't want to cover things. Doctors don't want to step outside of their lane because they're afraid that other doctors will have an issue with them. It's 1, 2, 3, pill for everything. There's a good article here. I have to see where I put it. That talks about a new medication they're going to use for women to help to improve their sexual drive and function. And here it is. I covered it with my other articles.
That happens.
Why I did
real
that.
quick.
Now, I have an important comment to make about this, and I'm sure 100% of people agree with me. I'm just guessing, but I'm sure. So December 15, 2025, the FDA approved a drug called ADDYI, A-D-D-Y-I, filibanserin, for the treatment of a decreased sexual desire in women, postmenopausal women under the age of 65. So here is yet another drug company figuring out how to capture a population to sell a drug and make a crazy profit off it. And there have been videos that I've seen that specifically say that drug companies look for something to make a drug for that's a big, big hit. So obviously they make their money. So it's how things work.
Couple questions in the comments.
Yeah.
Well, here's just a comment, not a question. It says, just got diagnosed with pre-diabetes and super high cholesterol. Sigh, it's so hard to change the diet because my husband refuses to change his diet. He thinks he could eat whatever. He's fine.
Well, there are ways to learn about your body and fine-tune it so that you won't be craving, and then you're not likely to overeat the carbs. Because pre-diabetes, in most cases, is already diabetes. So if a person's got some high blood sugars or the A1C is popping up, the A1C is an average. Even if it's 6.0, 6.1, 6.2, sometimes it's going to be 6.5 or above. Other times it might be lower. So I don't want people to think that, oh, yeah, you don't have to worry yet. You're pre-diabetic, you have to worry. Because you want to totally shut it down, reverse it, and make it so that it doesn't exist. So all your cells, your blood vessels, your nerves, every part of your body will be protected from the damage created by all that sugar. So pre-diabetics I treat the same way as I do an early diabetic or someone who's been diabetic for a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. There's no difference. Low-carb diet, exercise every day, because you want to flood your cells with oxygen, vitamins, minerals, and hormones. Burn the sugar, burn the fat. Correct hormone decline. You might see thyroid, DHEA, testosterone, IGF-1, any of these things lower than it should be. Correct vitamins, because vitamins are food for your cells. They get your cells to work better. And there are vitamins that help you to burn down cholesterol and sugar as well. So there's a natural mechanism to do that, but think of it. It's not just going to lower your sugar and take away the prediabetes. It's going to help every cell of your body. The exercise does amazing things for your body. Getting all your vitamins, minerals, and hormones correct will do amazing things for your body. And there could be 50 benefits. So it's not just a singular thing we're trying to work on or try to improve. We're looking at improving every part of the picture. And that's why I call it the comprehensive medical nutritional approach, because that mechanism will reverse the prediabetes, absolutely. It'll, in many cases, if it's early on, help to change the course of, the beginnings of diabetes. Some people who are further in, where their pancreas is just exhausted because people have been eating carbs their whole life, pancreas can't make the insulin, then obviously the step of doing the stem cells is the ultimate, because that'll put brand new cells into every part of your body. And as those new cells migrate to where they need to go, your pancreas in this case, they'll suck up the stem cells. You'll make brand new pancreatic cells that make insulin. That's how you change the person who's diabetic. We've had people that have become non-diabetic in 2 to 4 months from doing an IV for the stem cells. So it's a combination of things that you want to cover so you get your best result. Granted, there are a lot of people who will do some exercise, but they're not yet at their best and the most efficient exercise levels. Maybe they'll walk for 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe they'll walk from the car to where they have to go into the building at work or something. And they're trying, but you want to do a half hour of activity nonstop, because that's what will give you your best sugar and fat burning potential. If you do 45 minutes to an hour, that's even better. And imagine if your hormones and your vitamins are great, then that result is spectacular. So we want to be able to explain that to people so they understand.
There was a follow-up, said I got a treadmill for Christmas, lots of exercise in my future, planned on starting weightlifting after the first, waiting for the sales on gym membership, LOL.
There you go.
Got a few here. What vitamins burn sugar and cholesterol? That's a question.
Typically things that help to decrease cholesterol besides doing low-carb diet, exercise, correcting your hormones and vitamins, etc. Berberine helps to lower cholesterol. Red yeast rice helps to lower it. There are some Ayurvedics that might help. Chromium may have some added benefit there. With sugars, chromium is probably the most common, and I think the exercise and a low-carb diet makes a big difference. For some people, drinking a lot of water, hydrates them better, and when they do their exercise, they'll get a better outcome from it. In some people that will drink some water before they have a meal. They're less hungry because their stomach's a little bit full, so they won't have as much. So there are different ways to kind of throw a trick at your body to try to decrease the intake of the carbs. But the combinations of nutrients that will help do work. We see it every day because we have patients where we put them on these combinations. The other thing, too, is that if we can get people to snack every 2 or 3 hours on a little bit of something throughout the day, then they're not going to be hungry and want to go crazy on the carbs. Because if you have non-carb foods and you're snacking a little bit, whether it's seeds or nuts or protein, et cetera, vegetables, you're keeping your sugar in a normal level, but without raising it from carb. And in doing that, you're not raising your sugar, asking for insulin, which will knock your sugar down when you produce too much insulin, and that'll make you crave. So if we can put a few meals in throughout the day, smaller amounts of foods, grazing, cut the carb down, then your body won't crave as much. But we would add all this together. It just works the best that way.
Separate question: Does exercise increase your cortisol level?
Exercise will deliver great blood flow and oxygen and everything to all your organs. So it enables them to do a good job. So DHEA and cortisol are made by your adrenals. So the question is, are people under a significant amount of stress and are not making enough of the DHEA and cortisol because they're using up so much of it? If you do exercise, your body can help to rebalance itself, and you can probably make a little bit more of the hormones that you need to handle stress and otherwise. But that also depends upon age. As you get older, no matter how much exercise you do, you're not going to get those factories to come alive and make the DHEA, the cortisol, the testosterone, the IGF-1, the thyroid, all of those things, estrogen, progesterone. So there comes a time when you may need to take the supplement to be able to maintain your body's good function.
Separate conversation. Someone wants to know, can you discuss stopping the use of Roundup weed killer?
Yeah, so we've known for a long time that causes cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, yet you'll still see it on the shelves in a lot of these home places. Monsanto that makes it has spent billions of dollars in paying a lot of lawsuit claims and such, yet they still sell it because they're making more money than they're losing by selling it. So unless someone in a position of power wants to take on the Monsanto giant, and I hope someone does, to be able to shut down the use of that product's going to be there and sell like crazy because it does. And people just are not educated enough to know you cannot spray that stuff around your house. It's dangerous. It's horrible for you. It causes cancers. And if you have your pets and your dogs or your kids playing out and about, what are you doing? You're using a chemical that kills weeds and kills things, which would likely damage and maybe even kill you. You have to remember the name, Roundup. You can't use it. I don't think if you walked into a store and you told a salesperson that this is what this does, it's going to make a difference. It's got to be at the top of the organization. So someone's got to be able to get to the people that are buyers for these, these businesses and make sure they don't put those on the shelves. But who knows? I'm sure there are all sorts of incentives for companies to sell products that shouldn't be out there on the market.
All right, what else do we got? Should we add electrolytes in our water, or is that a bunch of BS?
There are some people who do. I don't think that you have a problem with that. Water should be just pure water and no heavy metals, pesticides, chemicals, anything else in it. And if you have a home, you should have a reverse osmosis filtration system on the water coming into your entire house so every speck of water is pure and clean. Some people like to put electrolytes or minerals and things into their water. You can do that. I don't see a problem with it. You just have to get your blood tested to see what your electrolytes are and what your vitamins and minerals look like. But remember, doing it without testing yourself, you really don't know where you are and what you're doing. That's why for everybody I've ever seen for all of these years, testing your vitamins and minerals allows us to create a perfect vitamin recommendation. But so many people don't or didn't know you could get a blood test for vitamins and haven't done it. Some people know, some don't. But you're just winging it. And when I see them and we check their vitamin levels on their first blood test that we do at the time of their consultation, vitamins are all over the place. Some things are too high, some things are very low, and most of them are too low to really help you. So if your D level is 10, it's supposed to be close to 80 or 90. What you're taking is not giving you the benefit. It's not about just taking it and wishing that something happens. You've got to prove that your levels are great. That's why we do this.
All right. Someone said, I hope RFK Jr. takes on Monsanto.
It's exactly what I was thinking about.
I got a few here. My YouTube audience, I'm here. I'm reading your questions.
YouTubers.
Don't you worry. George is asking, hello, doctor. My wife has Parkinson's and RA and osteoporosis, so the stem cell therapy, nasal and IV, can be done on the same time or day, ?
Absolutely. Always done the same time. All done within an hour. And she would likely get benefit in each of those areas because you're allowing your cells to go wherever there's damage and degeneration to find it and become new cells of that damaged tissue. So, yes.
There we go. And the follow-up was, we live across the country, so will this be able to happen?
You live across the country?
Yeah, we'll see if they respond back. We'll go from there.
Although anybody would agree that stem cells is a spectacular idea and one of the greatest ideas that's ever existed in health and in, for a lack of a better term, medicine. You don't see doctors picking up the ball and running with this unless they're really better educated about this and about trying to get your body to repair itself. 99% of what's out there is just getting you to be on a medication for a symptom. What I was mentioning before with the women with the low libido and the medication is that why take a drug that your body's never seen and would have side effects as it does? Why not just look at your hormones and correct what you've always had your whole life and give your body a little bit of all of those things so that comes back? I've done that for years with women by giving them tiny amounts of testosterone because testosterone helps to control your sex drive. And this has been documented a million ways to Sunday in literature. And we've done it for all the years I've been in practice where we give women a little pellet of 5 milligrams of testosterone, let it dissolve under your tongue, and now your testosterone's good and your drive is back. You also have a better mood, maybe better memory, maybe better feeling with your muscles when you do exercise, because testosterone is great for muscles for men and women. And women should be in a range of 40 to 50 or 60 on their blood test for testosterone. That's where we aim. Men should be 700, 800, 900. But why does it always have to be drug, when you might be able to just use the more natural mechanism to give your body what it's always had without risk or side effect?
And a follow-up from our buddy across the country said, we live in Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know the state of what's happening there. We have lots of people that have come from all over the place. We've had people that have come from Moscow. We have people coming from Europe, South America, because their relatives live here, and they obviously come over. And certainly for the nasal part of the STEM protocol, we've tried to find other doctors doing that, and we haven't found that on the West Coast at all. I don't know why. Is this cutting edge? Absolutely. Is it something that is leading the way to creating great results for people in areas or with medical conditions that they haven't had good results with? Absolutely. It's just one of those things that's not supported by the massive machine, so, it's not on every corner. But those results are certainly there. And for patients who want to come in, there are hotels that are, minutes from the office. Some people fly in the day before. They call us. We get everything set up, of course. They fly on the day before. They come to the office in the morning, do their treatment, and then they fly home that afternoon or the next day. Some people go to the city for a couple of days. So there are a lot of different ways to do it.
All right. What do we got here? Is taking creatine safe? A YouTube plastic surgeon is advocating it for muscle after menopause.
Well, so creatine monohydrate's been around for a long time. Bodybuilders use it, and you'd have to use it just about every day to get the, quote, benefit from it. And that benefit is maintaining a good, strong, pumped feeling or size of a muscle when you're using it. It's usually 5 grams. It doesn't taste good, so they'd have to mix it with some sort of sweetener or berry-flavored powder. There have been comments that it may help people that have Parkinson's or some neurologic issues or maybe some memory issues, but that hasn't been borne out all the way through with a double-blind placebo-controlled study. The issue is it has to be there all the time to help with muscles. So there are some people who could do that, but if you have kidney issues or you could have an allergic reaction to it, then it wouldn't be a good idea. It's not as though creatine is made by compounding pharmacies with a strict code and guideline like they make peptides and drugs and compounded drugs. There's great science in that. But any company can go take creatine powder, slap it in a container, put a label on it. It's not necessarily as pure or as, quote, medically supervised as you'd like it. So some people like it, some people don't. I've also seen some people that have taken creatine where their kidney function's been affected, and that's the only thing that changed over time. Maybe they got a little bit dehydrated, and we tell them to stop it, and their kidney function comes back. So for some people, it's probably not a great recommendation. Everything has to be made on an individual basis. There are people that are grandstanding, too. Everybody knows that. You can go and watch anything on YouTube and not YouTube. We love YouTube. You can go watch anything on Instagram and Facebook or social media, and people will be out there just saying outrageous claims about using baking soda and lemon, and you're going to be, a sexual king, or take this product or that product, or take this beet powder. And, it's just, there's no proof behind what they're saying. Use these pads to detox your feet. Show me something that says scientifically that that's a possibility. And you can't. But, people, I think, and a lot of people, I think, are smart enough to see through that. Yet other people will buy anything that they are told is going to cure them or change their world. We don't believe in the word cure. It's just not a realistic expectation for a lot of different things. But fixing your body, learning about your body, testing, correcting, that's how your body does well, because we know what we're dealing with and we can see the improvements. Just randomly taking something that someone sells off the internet or off social media, how does that correlate with you? When you don't know what your body's doing, you're just randomly taking something, and that's why people don't get the result. They say, well, it didn't work. Well, maybe it could have worked if other things were good.
They want to know where you're located, Doc.
Garden City, New York. The office is in Garden City. So we're about a half hour, 40 minutes east of the city. We're about 15 minutes from JFK and LaGuardia Airport. In the north-south, kind of in the middle of Long Island. Maybe a few blocks away from the massive Roosevelt Field shopping center complex. So kind of in the middle. relatively easy to get to.
Oh, we got someone saying we were chemtrailed all day yesterday. Ha, Merry Christmas to us.
Yeah, we used to think it was Santa and the reindeer. But they were not real reindeer. They were mechanical reindeer. I saw another video of someone randomly at the beach taking pictures, and one plane had this massive stream behind it. Another plane just passed above it with nothing. They make people think, oh, airplanes have these things that follow behind them. No, it doesn't work like that. I think that's a major reason why we have such high levels of aluminum in the population now. We've been starting to see this more and more over the past few years, past 10 years, maybe 15 years. We see a lot of arsenic because it's common. People eat chicken, shrimp, rice, apples, California wine. So certain things are pretty common in our diet. Antiperspirant with the aluminum in it, aluminum pots and pans. We usually see big spikes of metals in the summer because people are using aluminum foil when they barbecue. So there's certain things that we see, but for the levels to be as high as they are now, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless we're looking at a secondary exposure.
Yeah, someone in the chat says chemtrails on Long Island also. I saw those. I can concur.
I just don't understand why some wacko at some point in time said, oh, yeah, we've got to put this crap into the airplane so that it can go to all the population.
Sounds like depopulation to me.
Yeah, that's all what it is. Damage, damage, damage. Damage the people as much as possible. Get them on more drugs. Don't fix things, just string them along. That's what it seems.
Yeah. Someone said the newest is you use castor oil and baking soda on your face to look younger when you are 80 years old. I think they're just laughing about what you were saying before.
Well, there are people who do different things that are they're not too far from that. I know people that use olive oil in their skin, and they've got good skin. And olive oil has antibacterial properties, by the way. People take a tablespoon of olive oil every morning or every night. I do that. It's great for your gut, kills germs. People used to heat up olive oil and run it and comb it through your hair. My grandmother did that with my mom and their side of the family, and they've got great hair. So there are things that you wouldn't expect would really do that much that actually do. And people figured these things out, 100 years ago. So I'm not sure about castor oil. I know that probably doesn't taste good, but I remember a Little Rascals episode with castor oil. So for the older population in the audience, you may remember that.
What else we got? What's the difference between creatine and creatinine?
Creatine monohydrate is a powder. Creatinine is kidney function.
Creatinine, sorry.
So, yeah, it's just two different things. One measures how well your kidney can filter out waste products of metabolism. And if your creatinine goes high, that means your kidneys are having a problem. BUN, blood urea nitrogen, if that's going high, means your kidneys are having a problem. Conversely, GFR, glomerular filtration rate, if that goes down, your kidneys are not filtering well. So we look at all of those things to understand what your kidneys are doing. And for some people that have taken creatine, we've seen their creatinine go up. And that's why we tell them to stop it.
We got some Little Rascals fans in the chat.
Awesome. My favorite thing when I was a kid. There was so much good stuff to watch. And you see them again, now, and you laugh like an idiot because you remember when you were a kid seeing that. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of stuff on today that are going to make this generation look back and say, oh, my God, that was so funny.
Agreed, 100%. Chat's talking about potatoes having arsenic in them.
Yeah, that comment was recently discussed, so you got to be careful with that too. I tell people, as I told a patient today, go online whenever you can and look at some of the latest findings. Which testing for fish has shown more mercury lately? Because every now and then they'll do testing for a bunch of fish and say, oh, it seems like swordfish has more mercury now than it did 6 months ago. So you could track some of this information. You could also put an alert on Google It's a Google alert where I put in an alert for heavy metals and disease, so I can see when heavy metals research shows heart disease or cancer or thyroid disease or any of the diseases, and I'll get an email, pop it up, take it, grab it, and use it and talk about it. So you can put alerts on your Google so that you can see research that's being done on any topic.
What else we got? They have been using chemtrails for 20 years. Only use stainless steel pans to cook now.
That's smart.
Yeah, my wife does the
Iron
same.
skillet, stainless steel.
None of that Teflon.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that. I mean, only a few years ago, I realized, because a friend of mine who's a wonderful chef doesn't cook meat over a flame. They use an iron skillet or a griddle or a device you could put on your barbecue that's a griddle, because in doing that, you're not losing any of the moisture in the food like you would if it's over a flame and it's dripping and you're losing that moisture. So the flavor is significantly better, and the meat is way juicier than if you did it over a flame. So on the iron skillet. That was a little tidbit. No pun intended. Little steak tidbit.
We got some weep wows in there.
Weep wong. My God. We spoke a little bit about the vitamin packs that we do for patients. So that's pretty straightforward. Once we get your blood work done, we understand your entire condition. We put together vitamins for you. I have the company put them in the pack, morning pack, evening pack. We could use any number of things to put in the pack, depending upon what your need is. And then as we do that, it perfects your vitamin levels. We could recheck your blood, prove it, and you're set. So that's by far really the only way and the best way to make sure your vitamin levels are in the perfect range. For a lot of people, we do that through telehealth, because if they can't get to the office and some people are out of town or out of state, we do a telehealth visit. We send you a prescription to get your blood done and review the blood work over the phone, give you some guidance, and as well put the vitamin recommendations together, and you're up and running. So that's an easy mechanism to put together. A slightly different mechanism that we're doing a lot of now, and we've done on our patients, our Medicare patients, is what I would call the Wellness and Longevity Program. Keeps changing names. We had the Strong Program, and bottom line is we're using everything we can to understand what your body's doing. So with consult and the full blood work, we could put together recommendations for the vitamins. But if you have hypertension, you have heart disease, arrhythmias, COPD, lung disorders, diabetes, etc., any of the chronic diseases, we may be able to set you up with remote patient monitoring where at home we can have you fine-tune and fix. So for a doctor, this is kind of a dream scenario because you're getting a ton of information on the patient, for a good doctor anyway, and you're able to fine-tune and fix, adjust the diet, kick up the exercise, do the things that could help to improve that person's condition rather than allowing them to go south and sooner or later head to the ER for some gigantic ER visit and workup, which costs Medicare tons of money, upwards of $80,000 to $100,000. So if we can track your blood sugar, your oxygen, your pulse, your blood pressure, look at rate and rhythm of your heart, look at all of these things, it's brilliant. Because now preventive medicine has come to the forefront where it's never existed before within the realm of insurance companies or even Medicare. And now we can track and fix, and rather than let things go bad. So it's a terrific mechanism. So on one part of that, we participate with Medicare for the office visits. So we bill Medicare for your visit. The blood work goes to a lab that participates with Medicare, which is every lab. Whether you're near us or far, you come in to get your blood done or you do it outside. Gather all that information, putting together the recommendations. On the other side of the page or the sheet, vitamins are not covered by Medicare. but people know that, and people will be on vitamins specific to what their need is, so that's tailored. Some people want to come in for vitamin IVs, of course. Some people want to go on peptides or they want to do stem cell. Those aren't covered, but they're certainly still available to you. So it's a comprehensive way of understanding and fine-tuning your body to create and to recreate strength, ability, function, memory, focus, concentration, all those things that you've had in years past. And we've done tons of this. It's just now with the devices that we're using, it just enables us to have a much better feel of what you're going through and the results of our recommendations. So it's brilliant. So for any Medicare patients who are interested, just give us a call. We'd love to help you out with that. From anywhere, 516-794-0404. Contact us through the website. We'd love to help you out. Pretty soon we'll have landing pages for the process because I'm making little brochures that we can have a QR code, and you could hit that and be able to see everything we're talking about. So that'll be on the website as well.
Just got a question here asking, do you participate with Medicare Disadvantage plans?
Medicare we do participate with. Red, white, and blue Medicare. The other Medicares that are a little bit of a manipulation, like Aetna Medicare and GHI Medicare, they're just taking whatever money they can, but they want to minimize what they cover. So there are things that they don't want to cover because they don't want to have to pay for them that regular Medicare covers. So regular Medicare Red, White, and Blue card is the best of all of those types.
All right, what else we got here?
And for other patients who come to see us, typically, whichever insurance plan you have, we give you a form at the end of your visit so that you can get reimbursed by your insurance. For some insurance companies, they don't pay the doctors or they take forever to pay, and a doctor can't exist waiting a year to get paid on half of the patients. But the insurance companies will typically pay the patient back within 2 weeks because they have to if they want to keep that patient on that plan. So that's why we have that, immediately we give that to you so you can submit that to get reimbursed.
Got some separate questions. Someone's asking about HGH.
Uh-huh.
No specific, just says, what about HGH? I think that's...
So your body produces human growth hormone when you're conceived, pretty much, and you have tons of it there, and that creates your height and your body mass as you grow to your 18th or 20th year and pretty much stop growing. Your bones stop growing. Human growth hormone has to convert to IGF-1 to actually work. So IGF-1 is the thing you look at in your blood to test to see what your levels of production are. When people are low, their memory, focus, concentration are not good. Mood is not good. They're not sleeping well. You can have aches and pains and headaches, and you can't burn fat, and you exercise, but you don't feel good from the exercise. You feel drained. So much goes into the sexual drive and function decreases. So when we test your levels, we'd like them to be in the 300, 350 range. Most people come in the 50, 75, 100, 130 range. So we see that. And when you ask a person about all those things I just mentioned, they're like, yeah, that's me. Just like I was mentioning before about the drug to help with women's sexual drive, if you correct the IGF-1 and give a little bit of testosterone, you're back in action. It will work well because that's what you've always had to do those things. But to ignore that and just to go on a medication doesn't make sense to me. So in correcting those levels of IGF-1, you get a bottle, and we show you how to give yourself little tiny injections into the skin next to your belly button or on your leg. The syringe is the tiniest syringe. It's a 31 gauge, which is probably like the size of your eyebrow hair. And you inject that at night before you go to bed, and you watch your sleep, how great your memory, focus, energy, sleep, mood, sexual drive, endurance is, and all those things come back. Because that's what you've had to do all that before. Your body just isn't making it as much as it used to. So correcting that makes all the sense in the world.
Okay, so that person said they've been taking it for years, so they just wanted some clarification.
Yeah.
Someone else said Bella in the chat said, Doctor, I am an RN and really enjoy your interactive live show.
Oh, thank you. Cool. We love to have RNs as patients or as callers and listeners because they've got such a great experience with dealing with the patients directly. And, I used to say that the people who work the hardest in the hospital are not the doctors. They come in, they do an eval, they make some recommendations, the nurses do all the work. So between the nurses, the LPNs, the RNs, the nurse pracs, and PAs, they've got a great perspective on directly dealing with those patients, hands-on, over and over and over. So it's great to have that perspective, and then for families to have, nurse pracs and RNs and LPNs in the family, because they kind of can set the stage for how healthy the family can be because of what they know and what they're gathering, their knowledge. So that's terrific.
All right, we got this is I guess this is back to the Roundup talk, but someone said we had that red pesticide gadget when I was a kid. You push a plunger and it sprays.
Oh yeah. That handheld thing where the mist came out. That was probably pretty dangerous. Probably not as bad as those trucks that would go through your neighborhood, misting the entire neighborhood with garbage. And kids would ride behind it on their bike. They had no idea. Nobody knew.
Yeah. People are talking about Agent Orange in chat.
Yeah.
Same thing, pretty much.
Stuff that is meant to kill living things can also kill you. Pesticides are also linked with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, parathione, malathione, a lot of those things. Liver cancer. There's a lot there.
We have a happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Frankie and Chris.
Thank you. Best to you and your family. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Now it's just cold, The holidays are done. And now
it's that same thing every year where the buildup, Thanksgiving hits. You're like, okay, the season's here. And some people just say, season's here, I'm going to eat and drink everything, and they gain a lot of weight. You shouldn't. Thanksgiving's one day. Eat a lot of protein. And then work out every day between Thanksgiving and Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, Some people lose focus because they're going out to office parties. I tell them, have something to eat before you go to the party so you don't have to eat the junk food. If an office party is being catered by some place and that's not the kind of food you want to eat, then just eat before you go. There are ways to do this.
It's not that easy, Doc.
It takes a little bit of work, a little bit of effort. So, yeah, it comes this time of year where we have to start being thankful for the things that, that we're still here, we're still doing well, and our families are doing well, and, what's transpired over the whole year. And you have to reflect a little bit and thank God for everything. And, we mentioned this before. Every time I see something specific to what happened with Charlie Kirk, I'm just angered even more that this is a whole circus that was created behind him and created to take over, his spotlight, take over his business. I know he had a lot of calls last time we were talking about this, but the more that I see, the more I dislike what was going on. Manipulation, and there's a lot that's coming out. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's a ton of smoke, there's really a great deal of complicity going on in this circumstance. So I just don't like the entire show because it's a big show. No one loses a husband, then walks out on stage to some sort of event like a World Wrestling Federation event without tears. I don't like the whole thing. And some people may know more than others, but information always comes out over time. The same things hold true for other assassinations like JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King. The lone gunman. that's tiring to think that they think we're stupid enough to believe a lone gunman does all this stuff.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said, from YouTube said, they still use Charlie Kirk's name on the YouTube channel. Yeah, same with his Instagram. They post for him. I don't know. It doesn't
Of
jive
course, his
nice.
show, they're constantly using what he created, for their purposes, to create money, to make money, to have certain comments and certain sentiments and certain things be out there. I believe in the whole religious mechanism, and I believe that he did great things, and he brought a lot of people back to religion, and a lot of people back to church and stuff, and I believe in that. I think that's great. I think, however, for the people that are dealing with it now, to use it for other means is not a good thing. When you're bribed or you're threatened by individuals to do more for them, that's wrong. And people could look into it. They could, read about it. I think what Candace Owens is doing is showing a lot of information that was never seen before, never meant to be seen. So therein lies more of the truth than this fuzzy story that we've been told. And this story about a kid on the roof with that rifle. So, like anything else, read, learn, look. Don't be satisfied with what you're being told. Check it out. Prove it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Someone said it's so painful watching him get shot on live show. Still feel PTSD.
Yeah. And and I've seen it 1,000 times because you're looking to see what's going on at that time. And when different people say, hey, Mikey, the guy who was supposed to be his buddy, was standing next to him doing a videotape, and when he heard and saw it happen, he just calmly walked away, 20 yards and was on the phone. He didn't run to his friend to see if they could help stop the bleeding. Nobody did. How does nobody run to help stop the bleeding, take a towel, do something, anything? How come there's no ambulance there? None of these things that are supposed to be there. Nobody shut down the site, for the police and the investigators to do a real good investigation, and the school covered it up. They redid the entirety of the area. This is all a gigantic combined effort to do this. And they're praising this kid, Mikey, and the father said, he had blood all over him. He wasn't even near Charlie. There was no blood anywhere near Mikey. But they're touting him as this great person. Why? Did they just kind of get rid of him because they wanted to accept the $150 million from that guy, what's his name, Ackman, and further push their agenda? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What's going on? The other guy as well, Frank Turek, who said a couple of different things. I looked into Charlie's eyes, when he got shot. He wasn't near him. You could see Turek make the hat signal, and then he's off to the side. He drops to the ground after Charlie's shot. Doesn't go to him. How come his friends didn't go to him? It'd be the first thing that I would do. It would be the first thing that anybody I've ever known would do for a friend. You go there and see, can you help? Or, and then people are taking the cameras and the SD cards and handing things off. You see that in all these videos that are repeatedly now put out there because you're seeing what other people were doing. What's that all about? Handing stuff off to people, those people walking away, handing off something, putting it under his cap, walking away, SD cards for cameras and things. Then I saw something else, and I've seen this video, as I say, hundreds of times, and there's a guy with a camera on his shoulder. He initially is pointed to Charlie's right, and then he turns around as soon as the shot's fired to point it right behind the tent and carrying Charlie away towards the car.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. I think I sent that to you. And I've seen that exact thing in the videos because I've seen the other videos that show the guy jump across the table, slides in, he exchanges something with somebody, and he's got a smile on his face. It's all this weird stuff. And Mikey just walks directly back away as if he knew it was going to happen. Of course he knew it was going to happen. There was something else that was said. I forget the exact words. That almost made it seem like Erica knew what was going to happen. And I'm sure she did.
They mentioned in the chat, this was the craziest you mentioned, just the fact that they paved it over in like a day and a half.
Of course, no crime scene. Yeah. When does that ever happen?
Never.
They wiped out the evidence. It was a surgically created event. There are people that saw a guy up on the roof and had a video of it. The FBI never interviewed them or went for them. And that's been online 100 times, 1,000 times. Someone who was to the right of Charlie said the sound came from the right. So hopefully we'll be able to figure something out of this. But it's all about manipulation and money and influence and, people willing to kill to push their agenda, whatever the agenda is.
Someone said, I know it sounds staged, but he was taken too young from us.
Absolutely. But there are powers that be that don't want someone like that who is charismatic, who is a good person by all counts, religious, was able to bring a lot of people to vote, bring a lot of people back to the church. They don't want that, obviously, and they killed him for probably a few reasons. It's a ridiculous world we live in.
Craziness. Really is. It was people are talking about, possibly being planted in the microphone, on the collar, if he got shot from the back.
It's hard to say because I don't think anything that was with the microphone, not evidenced by, picture or video there, created something. And where would the bullet from the microphone go? And how will the bullet have any ability to hit anything if it's just sitting on a lapel? That's like saying you have a gun and waving the gun around. Are you going to hit a target? No, because it's not held in a position to create a specific trajectory.
Yeah, I agree.
I would sooner likely think that the shot came from behind, broke the neck, and then came out the front where the bleeding occurred with a very small round, small caliber bullet, because there's no way a .30-06 hit him in the neck like a little pea shooter. That would have blown out a very big, large amount of tissue. So that makes no sense. And whoever thought that story up to say, hey, there's a kid up on the roof and he's shooting a .30-06, that's just stupid. Because the whole world of people who understand anything about guns, who've ever seen a .30-06 bullet, and you can know nothing about guns and see that bullet, there's just no way that kid Tyler shot him with. And they haven't found him in any video or picture with a gun. That was all fake. Multiple things meant to confuse everybody that was there. But like I say, everybody's got a video camera in their phone now. So there are videos all over the place showing things that you would never have seen before.
Someone said they got rid of him before he ran for president.
Yeah, I think that he would have had a great political career. Certainly as a young vice president, maybe, and work his way up. I mean, absolutely. But what he said was dangerous to a lot of people who don't want any of those things to come out or to happen.
So too many theories. Do you think it will be covered up?
I think there's only so much you can cover it up, and people will say, hey, this is just garbage. People start to realize it makes no sense. People start to realize it makes no sense. And for that kid after the shooting to be at a Dairy Queen and to be just like hanging out as if nothing happened, looking around, ordering something at Dairy Queen, there's no way he did that. Unless your mind is altered so much by whoever, MK Ultra or these groups that are working wherever they're working with whomever they're working to try to change the way your brain works, no one can sit there and shoot somebody in the neck and get up and walk away like it was nothing. Unless, of course, they're completely devoid of any feeling and they've been created that way. Don't know. But I think a lot's going to come out about Erica. And I'll say that because this has already been documented. She said she didn't date anybody for 5 years. And, of course, the boyfriend that she had, what's his name, Cabot Phillips or something?
Yeah.
And they may have been more than just boyfriend and girlfriend. The 2 children, there's no information on any of that in terms of birth and otherwise. There's another guy who was maybe a football player, another big guy that she dated.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but there's evidence of that. She said she didn't date anybody. It's there. She said she never drank. There's videos of her being
She was on a reality TV show.
Right, drinking.
Dating show.
Yeah. So she said she never drank or never drinks. I mean, so she's totally contradicting herself. Another video says, I've done this and that, and she had some sort of child thing in Romania, which still remains to be investigated. And then she said she worked with the military. This is not this passerby that met Charlie, fell in love, and et cetera, et cetera. This is obviously looking more and more like a setup. Honeypot, they call it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt it.
Someone said truth will come in years from now, just like JFK, RFK, and Dr. King.
Well, maybe sooner. Back in the day in 1963, nobody thought that this could happen, would happen, and they believed everything that they were told. And when you look at all of that information, you say there's no way that one person could do that for many reasons. And all the other people that died around the JFK assassination that were peripheral to all of that, like 40-some-odd people. So there's more than enough information to realize that was just planned in a similar fashion and done. And, like the JFK movie repeatedly said, who had the most to gain from it? Vice President. So, yeah, like I say, on our show, we can talk about anything. Anything else people want to talk about?
Talk to me, chat. Talk to me.
New Year's Eve plans.
Yeah, New Year's Eve is getting less and less exciting for me, personally.
Years ago, it was great because when you have a bunch of friends and you have girlfriends and 3 or 4 couples go out, you go somewhere, you have dinner, going to the city, it was an exciting thing. Now, not that exciting. And all my friends that live out here that used to go into the city a lot really aren't going back into the city. And I think the city is going to take a hit because of this guy that they've implemented as mayor, or they voted in as a mayor. He already is starting to do something that I think is going to be problematic. You have to hire the best qualified people for jobs. And if you're not going to do that, then the people who work those jobs, who've come up in the ranks, are not going to be happy at that. I'll leave it at that. The scenario in Minnesota, with all the billions of dollars being taken and stolen. Thank God we have Doge, and thank God we have people now that are looking over this and going to get people to go to jail. Stop them from stealing all the money that we're spending, all this stupid tax money. I always wonder why we have to pay taxes on everything, because the politicians are figuring out how to take it and put it somewhere.
Yep. A few things here. Someone said, Frankie, when is the baby due? May. Early May.
There you go.
Baby's due. Someone says honeymooners marathon on New Year's Day. I love that because that's my tradition.
That's a good one.
It's my favorite.
Some of those good marathons are great to watch.
Oh yeah, the city sucks on New Year's Eve. No fun. You could not pay me to go to Manhattan on New Year's.
I've never done the let's watch the ball drop, among thousands of people that are drunk and I'm sure vomiting and urinating all over the place, or amidst pickpockets because that's their glory to go in there and just pickpocket everybody who's drunk. I used to go to dinners with friends and stuff. We did all that. It was fun, but you do it a few times. Yeah.
I was 13 years old when JFK was murdered. Cried, couldn't believe it. We have the city is no longer exciting. He will ruin this city. I want to move.
The question is how are they going to stop him from doing some of these things that are going to end up being disastrous? Even the governor doesn't like some of the ideas that he's had, especially with the free bus rides and all this other stuff. I just don't understand how he was voted in actually, because I know a lot of people that own businesses in this city, and I know people that own buildings in the city. I know of those people. Why would they want what he's bringing? It's going to destroy the value of real estate, going to destroy restaurants and everything else. There's more crime that's going to occur. It's just crazy. How could he win with running on that platform? And I think it was foolish for Curtis to stay in the race because he just pulled votes away from potentially Cuomo. Not that I think Cuomo is terrific, but he's a lot better than a full-on communist, right? If the people that voted for Curtis, or if Curtis would have endorsed Cuomo and said, hey, I'll give you all my people, I'll get them all to vote for you, give me some sort of position in the administration, that you would think would make sense. But because of ego, he thought he could win, even though the polls were going against him. So now, George Will, who's a famous author and TV personality, he said, well, I think it's good that Mamdani won. I'm like, what? He said, yeah. He said this to Bill Maher, and Bill Maher's head was going to explode because his head as big as it is.
Yeah, I saw that.
He said, every few years you have to let this happen so people see how bad it is, and then they vote that out the next time around. I said, well, that's not unrealistic. There were mayors that were horrible in the city, and then when Giuliani came along, crime was down, everything was great in the city. So, maybe that's the way it has to go in some of these places where people can't decide what's good or bad or what's right and wrong. I know friends that have this app, Citizen app, on their phone. It tells you where the crime's being committed. So if you live on Mercer Street and you want to go somewhere to dinner and there's crime occurring where you were trying to get to, of course you wouldn't go there. But it's horrible to think you have to do that.
Yeah. What a world we live in.
Ridiculous.
On Mamdani, someone said, the young kids believed him, free, free, free. He lied campaigning. He was funded millions by bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said, I'm in Manhattan. Yes. Pickpockets too crowded in Times Square. Yeah.
It's like that party is giving all the bad people and all the wrong people a free ride to go do whatever they want to do. They've been given housing in buildings, and some beautiful buildings and hotels. They're getting paid thousands of dollars a month to come in and to just drain everything that the city has to offer without putting anything, into it. And there are always interesting comments, and I see this on social media, and people will ask about this and that. And, we talk about people that came here from other countries before, people that settled here many, many years ago, people that came legally and built something and created something and took the opportunity and the great opportunity that they got to build a great family and business. And that's what made the country great for so many years. It's different today when you realize how many people have been killed by people coming in that don't care. They just want to kill and rob and steal and do all this other crazy stuff. And, rape and murder, and that's what's happened. If it's happened once, it's too much. But there are a lot of young women in Lake and Riley and a lot of these other people that have been killed by people that should never have been here and should never, get here. And a lot of people think, of course, that, they're giving all these people a free ride so they can get the vote. And they can always be voted into their position politically because they're bringing more followers in to vote for them. Crazy. But at least we have some things set in place to help to protect us and people that don't want to do that. So, make sure you're safe wherever you go.
Yeah. Getting harder and harder.
Have eyes behind your head. Always look at where you're going. Park somewhere that's, bright. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take any chances. If you don't have to go somewhere, don't go. I went to a seminar a few years ago it was a police seminar, and they were talking about all the new computers they had in the cars with the police. I'm like, God, that's cool. In that database, they have every criminal who's in every jail locally, and they know when Joe criminal gets out next week or next month, he's going to go to try to kill his rival, Fred criminal, and they have the addresses and the accomplices, and they have all the stuff in the computer. It was pretty brilliant. They also have put up microphones that can detect and determine what kinds of guns are being used when shootouts occur in some of these bad areas or bad places. So the technology has become really cool, really great, and is making a big difference. And that's why Bruce Blakeman has been talking about Nassau County being one of the safest counties in the whole country. But, you have to kind of work at being smart. Don't put yourself in a position where, you can't get out of it. Be safe. Be safe with your health. Be safe with your life. Be safe with your family. All righty, friends, thank you for tuning in today. God bless you all. Have an amazing weekend. Happy New Year. We'll be back here live next week. Give us a call at the Garden City office, 516-794-0404. Website, drcalapai.com. And we shall communicate with you. We'll